people that rely on AI, their brain activity actually decreases. Your mental capacity is like a muscle. The more you work it, the stronger it gets. The less you work it, the weaker it gets.
People can accidentally misremember things.
If you didn't document it, it's just an opinion.
Okay. Start me at the beginning. How did you get into this industry? What was your first role? Husband to one, father to four, 22-year industry vet, beekeeper, and director of learning and quality control. Zerin Buchanan's in the house. Zerin, good to have you here.
Thank you, Brian. Thanks for having me.
Zerin, I think we have we've worked together for how many years now? I mean, I came to Hartwell in 2010. Have we been there the whole time together?
Not quite. I came in 2016. Yes.
Okay. So start me at the beginning. How did you get into this industry? What was your first role?
My first role was a producer. And like most folks that I've talked to, I fell into the industry. I was a young kid. I was bouncing around from job to job. My mom had worked in the industry. My dad had worked in the industry. And I think they wanted to see me stable. So they said, why don't you come sell insurance? And so I did. The rest is history.
What did your folks do in the industry?
My mom worked in a finance department for Farm Bureau Insurance, and my dad was a producer at Farm Bureau.
Dang, so you got those Farm Bureau roots. Okay,
Yeah.
So you're a Chubbuck guy.
Yeah.
And I you know Eastern Idaho better than me. So Chubbuck and Pocatello right next to each other. Don't they touch?
Yes.
Okay, but it's like Nampa Caldwell over here. We gotta keep them straight.
Right.
But so you have Farm Bureau roots. You worked at Farm Bureau. Right. How many years were you there?
I did about 5 or 6 years as a producer.
Okay.
And then made a switch and became an underwriter for about 10 years.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I like to roast. I have a buddy that works for Farm Bureau still, and I say, bro, y'all are just making up prices over here at Farm Bureau right now. He laughs at me every time. But what was it like being an underwriter for Farm Bureau?
It was good. It was good. Seeing things from the other side of the desk was kind of fun. You just got so much volume across your desk that there weren't very many situations that you didn't experience. Just by the sheer number of policies and applications that came across.
So do you feel like you got to know like the general ag world better, or was it a variety of business that you'd look at?
So most of my underwriting was ag related.
Okay.
And so, yeah, I got to know ag very well. Farm Bureau placed their ag in with their personal lines. And so I did some of that as well. But I would underwrite anything from a small hobby farm to a large corporate concern that was just massive farms. So
if you started there, this is probably before they built that huge, new, beautiful building that you can see from the freeway?
No, I was in that building.
Oh, really? Okay.
For quite a while. So
Okay. So Farm Bureau, and was it Farm Bureau to Hartwell?
Yes.
Okay. And you said 2016, and when you joined Hartwell, what was your first role?
Account executive for
Okay.
commercial insurance.
Okay.
So
Right on. So account executive, and then today you have a unique role, director of learning and quality control. Walk me through the process of going from account executive to the role you're in right now.
that's a tough question. I looked back. I'm not even sure what happened. I have always valued education, so I've made it a point to become very knowledgeable about what I do. And as an account executive, I insisted that my team also become very knowledgeable about what they did, and had the opportunity to train a number of folks on my team and to help some people on other teams with some things. And I was approached by management, and they said, we have this position we think you would do well at, and we'd like you to consider it. And so I considered it and said yes. That's how I got here.
So little by little, you were already involved in education or training, and then it just kind of turned into a full-time role.
Yeah, I've been involved in educating other folks my entire career.
Okay.
except for those first few years as a producer when I just kind of had to figure out what the heck I was doing in the insurance world.
So when you look at like the general education world, let's zoom the lens way back out.
Okay.
In the insurance world, you have the institutes or other different groups, and I can't even remember the names off the top of my head. What are the types of groups that you look to that you feel like have done a good job, and where do you go to sharpen what you're doing as a professional?
Oh, excellent question. And I can't give you a single answer.
Okay.
Because each of these organizations that have offerings, each of them have wonderful products in their own right. And they're each targeted to different things. And so, yes, there's some crossover. For example, the CPCU Institutes has some stuff targeted toward agents and producers. There are other organizations that specialize in producer education. So there's some crossover. But what I like to do is I take it based on the needs of the person who needs the education. So when someone comes to me at work and they say, I need to learn more about X, Y, and Z, or most of the time what I get is they don't know what they need to learn. They come to me and say, I just want to get better at what I do. I just want to get some letters behind my name. What do I do? And so then I just ask them about their career goals, their current role, what kind of skills they have, what kind of skills they need, and then I can steer them in the right direction to the appropriate designation with the appropriate organization for what they need.
Okay.
So it's not a one-size-fits-all.
Right.
The Institutes does an amazing job. That's where the bulk of my education came from. But that was mostly because at Farm Bureau, where I earned my CPCU when I was there, that was the one that they supported and they pushed probably more than anything. So
Okay. So the institutes, who does the CPCU and ARM, they are one educational body, but the other group, who does the CIC?
Oh, you had to ask me specifically who.
I'm trying to think of the name.
I can look it up.
Yeah.
It's escaping me at this point.
We can't think of it off the top of our
head. It's not
head.
National Underwriter. They do the CLCS.
We're getting closer. We're getting closer. I
have to look that up for sure.
In California, I think I was in Ontario, California. I took a CIC class, marketing, the easiest one, and I failed it. So that shows you how
They're
I'm
tough.
doing.
They're tough, no question.
So I end up going the institute's routes, but I felt like the CIC route still had really good, like they were drilling into the policies.
Yeah, so that's actually the one big benefit of the CIC designation is that they do drill into the policies. You're reading the policies line by line. You're talking about application in these classes. The CIC route is not self-directed. So there's self-directed learning where you go on, you take a webinar, you take online classes, you read a book, and you take a test. That's most of what the Institutes offers, okay, which is great. Institutes is flying over. They want you to understand every part of the industry very well, how they work together. They do have education on policy forms, but they're not diving in the same way as the CIC designation. It's diving very deep into policy forms, analyzing it, finding it, rubber meets the road application. So the Institute's education is great and helps you a ton in that, but it does not dissect the policies the same as CIC.
Okay. You have people come to you at Hartwell and maybe outside who say, I don't know what I don't know, but help me to learn. Right. What's the typical process look like for you? When you start, when that person comes to you and you sit them down and say, tell me what you're looking to do, looking to learn, where do you typically go first? Is it internal like training maybe that we have with Epic? Is it like exterior, like books that you want them to read? How do you lay out a path for them to pursue that education?
So, yeah, excellent question. The first step is for me to find out where they're at. I can't lay out a path unless I know where you're at. If you already have, somebody comes to me and they want to learn more about farm insurance, for example. My first step is to find out how much they know. What education have you already had? I'm not going to direct someone to learn about Epic if they already know where to click in Epic. That's just click-by-click stuff. That's not actual Epic knowledge is important because you have to know how to do what you need to do, but it's not a deeper understanding of the what we sell and why we sell it. So I'm going to ask them questions. I'm going to find out what background do they have, where do they want to go in their career? What's your career goal? Do you want to go into claims? Do you want to go into sales? Do you want to go into servicing and be an account manager? All of these things are going to lead to different paths of education. So you come to me and you want to be a producer. You want that to be your career. I'm probably not going to start you out on a CPCU. Okay, I'm probably going to suggest a CIC or an ARM or a CLCS if you're commercial lines, or a PLCS if you're personal. I'm going to choose something that's targeted to what you want to be doing. The other way we target this is based on your experience. If you've just barely been licensed and you come to me, I'm probably not even going to put you in a designation program if you're newly licensed. I'm going to send you to Total CSR, or maybe we'll go to one of our carriers. I know Cincinnati has some amazing education, so does USLI, and we'll send you through one of their programs and see how you do, because we're not going to drop the money for a full-blown designation program until we know if this is your jam, if this is something you're going to enjoy doing, and this deep learning is something that's going to speak to you.
So that makes sense. So I'm trying to think through what's available, maybe just to deep dive this, because learning happens, but it's not talked about very often. So
right.
Cincinnati and USLI have their own product. And then we have, is it Total CSR? Is that what?
Total CSR is a third party.
Okay.
That offers, they're an agency. My understanding is, and I might have the history a little wrong, they started out as an agency down in California. They needed a way to train their CSRs and to get them up to speed quickly. So they came up with this curriculum. It worked so well for them, they took it on the road and sold it. And they've expanded quite a lot. And they actually have a really great product. So that's one that we subscribe to.
I think, is that the one you sent me the login for the other day?
Yes.
I started taking it. I thought, I need more time to get after this. After I did 10 work comp questions, I think I started GL.
Yeah.
I was like, bro, these GL questions aren't easy right now.
They're tough.
If you're brand new, you're going to get blown out of the water. And I felt like, I feel like I can narrow it down to 2 answers typically. Yeah. Man, getting to that final answer of 4, that's not easy.
No. And what I sent you is not designed for someone brand new.
Okay.
It's designed for someone with a little more time in the chair. So what I sent you is actually an assessment.
Okay.
So that you could kind of test that out and see if it works for your purposes. But so if somebody comes to you as a new employee, or not a new employee, but as an applicant, and you're looking at hiring them, and they say, yeah, I know everything in the world about insurance. What I sent you was a product Total CSR offers for you to give them this test and say, do you really? Let's see.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense, especially with salespeople.
Yeah.
When your job is having confidence in front of people, but you may or may not know all the things you're talking about.
Right.
It's good to get a decent idea. Tell me a little more about the Cincinnati and USLI trainings, what you've used them for, what you like about, and how they're helpful with what we're doing at Hartwell.
I love those trainings. I don't know who designed them over there, but kudos to Cincy and USLI for providing a very, very usable product to help their agencies really upskill and so they have an entire. I'll talk about Cincy because that's the one I use most. They have an entire curriculum starting with, I don't know anything about insurance, clear through discussing kind of ancillary coverages like, some management liability stuff that people may not encounter as often. I don't want to call them ancillary. They're super important coverages, but things people don't encounter. And it walks people through, and it takes them from square one clear up to this extended knowledge. USLI has something that's a little simpler. USLI actually focuses a little more on sales skills, so they actually have some sales modules for new producers that are pretty good. So, but they start out with history of insurance and legal terms you need to know, and what is liability and indemnity, and then they go, just carry on from there.
Okay.
The one thing about carrier educational options is that they try to keep them neutral, but they always insert a little bit about why is our endorsement better than the other guy's endorsement. And so we have to keep that in mind. And that's totally expected, and it's fine. We're getting a free product, so, what are you going to say?
Yeah. I have seen that. You never know if it's with some carriers, you never know if it's a training or if it's actually a promo with a little bit of insurance knowledge mixed in for 8 hours. I will say one group that did a spectacular job when I was young in my career was Hartford. Okay. I went to their 2-week class. I think it was 3 weeks back then. And back in the day, everybody did these classes. Like a guy one time told me, he's probably 75 now, but he said, this was in Los Angeles when I was studying CPCU. He said Travelers and Aon and Zurich and everybody would send every single new person to a CPCU class. So the classes were just bursting at the seams in like the 70s or 80s or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, then they all stopped.
Right.
And so it's been a lot harder to get students because a lot of the folks are so profit motivated. They figure if you want to learn, you got to do it on your own time.
Yeah.
So I did love going to the Hartford New Producer School.
Mm-hmm.
I know we still send producers there, and they did a good job of not making it all about Hartford.
Yeah.
And they had awesome instructors. I mean, the sales team, you have 25, 30 salespeople just hitting them with their hardest questions, and they're just saying, well, it depends. What does the form say?
It's always the answer, isn't it?
It always is. But you want to have like a general leaning sometimes.
Yeah.
You can't say it depends on every question because you're going to have a client say to you eventually, well, how does this work? You can't say, it depends. You have to go, okay, with your policy,
You're correct.
Generally speaking, here's what we're going to run into.
Yeah. And what you've just hit on with Hartford, part of the reason I think it's Hartford that uses the CLCS and the PLCS as their school. So CLCS is Commercial Lines Coverage Specialists. PLCS is Personal Lines Coverage Specialist. These are designations that are offered through National Underwriter and Property Casualty 360. So they're not carrier-based. And so, I think it's Hartford that uses these in their new agent school.
I think it's CLCS for Hartford. I know that was one of them. Yeah.
And so think of CLCS as a CIC light. It's dissecting coverage. You're going through policy forms. You're looking at this. And in fact, we've recently adopted that for our commercial team and personal lines team at the Hartwell Corporation. We're pushing those designations, not necessarily above others, but because it gives our people skills that they really need. So to your point of you can't always say it depends, you're 100% correct. We have to know basic insurance principles. We have to know how the ISO forms work. We have to know how the forms that our most frequent carriers sell work. And then we can speak with confidence. But on the flip side of that, it kind of always does depend because every coverage scenario is fact specific. And I can't tell you if there's going to be coverage if X, Y, and Z happens until I know all the facts surrounding X, Y, and Z, and I can look at the form and see. So we have to walk this tightrope. This is the QC guy talking now. E&O prevention. We have to walk this tightrope between providing the answers our clients need so they can make an informed decision and not committing to coverage that may not be there at the time of loss. And so so the way you do that is you educate your clients on the principles and on how this policy works. And then you disclaimer it and you say, but understand that this if a loss occurs, it'll depend on the situation surrounding that loss. Right. And I don't have the authority to say covered or not covered, that's the adjuster.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. No, I think, especially as our agency gets bigger, helping folks not overcommit to the coverage applying, because most of the time you can say you have full coverage on your car, somebody else hits you. If they have insurance, their insurance is going to pick it up or whatever it'll be.
Yeah.
What you don't want to do is jump to conclusions, because sometimes they'll say, hey, FYI, this is a really weird scenario.
Yeah.
And something got messed up. And next thing they're like, well, but my agent said I would be covered. Well, yes, 99% of the time you will be, but we got to be careful on that 1% of the time.
Yeah.
So you got the learning side, and you just already, hinted on that quality control side. How do you balance those two hats? How do you see them as the same but maybe different at the same time?
So I think education is super powerful in preventing bad scenarios. I think our biggest tool to having a quality product, offering a quality product to our clients, is to know what the heck we're talking about.
Oh man, isn't that true? Well, and tell me, like, as your role right now, a person who had a gigantic fingerprint in our agency is Tracy McClure.
Oh yeah.
Talk about your time working with her, what you learned from her, and how kind of she set that tone for us.
Oh boy. I love Tracy. Tracy's amazing. And one of the things that I'll always remember about Tracy is that she used to just, and she still does, I shouldn't say used to, she's around, she's retired, but she would pound it into us what we know the carrier knows. We don't hide things from the carrier. And this is something that occurs far too often in this industry. We make our money on commissions, right? And so we want to make that sale. And so sometimes we're tempted to sweep a little dirt under the rug instead of letting the carrier know. But what we don't understand is that really does a disservice to our clients, and it does a disservice to us. Because if that dirt we sweep under the rug is material to the loss, and you don't know if it will be or not, right? You don't have a crystal ball.
Yeah.
If that dirt is material to the loss, then your client gets a claim denied. And they're going to be looking for coverage somewhere. It's going to be on your E&O policy.
Right.
And so you just, Tracy really pounded that in. I loved that. She walked that tightrope very, very well between being able to provide service to our customers, create a saleable situation, but not get ourselves in trouble.
Right.
So you can go too far to an extreme either way. You can be so concerned about E&O that you never actually sell a product. And you can be so focused on sales that you get yourself in trouble. And so you just have to find that middle ground.
Right. Speaking of not getting ourselves in trouble, in honor of Tracy, I have brought this. But did you document it, Tracy? This is for you. Let's put this bad boy right here. We need to have this for the rest of the time, just to hang out with us. Yeah, no, I think part of growing from an agency that was a strong agency but didn't have as many of those multi-location habits, maybe.
Right.
You go from 35 people to 95 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
You got to have different habits. And you can't assume that one person can make an announcement in the lobby or in the break room and say, hey, we got to document better. Okay, let's all do it. Right. That can work in some offices. But when you get big and you have remote or whatever, people are in literally other sides of the country, you have to be able to say, we're going to do training.
Yeah.
We're going to have rules. You're going to abide by the rules. And we're able to check and see if you're keeping those rules.
Right. Yeah, that's 100% true. I love this. If it's not in the file, it didn't happen. I've seen this in practice. I've seen situations where something wasn't documented, and it's just amazing how much your client's memory changes. But you did tell me that was covered.
Right. If money is on the line, relationships can go out the window real fast.
Oh, yes, they do.
Folks will forget what you said or reinterpret. Have you ever heard... Now, do you remember there was a news guy, Brian Williams, who said he misremembered. Do you ever remember this?
Doesn't ring a bell.
So I actually think that people can accidentally misremember things.
Oh,
so,
100%. Yeah.
But it astounds me once you think about it how often that happens. Because have you ever thought about a conversation and you were sure it went a certain way, and then you heard a recording of it later?
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy to think, oh, well, didn't I make this point? And then you're like, oh, but I didn't. Now that I think back on it, I thought I did, and I hoped I did, but I actually didn't. So I can see how someone would say, well, I sure told him I needed that extra umbrella. Well, it's easy to think you said that after you had a big loss.
Yeah.
But, at the time, you're thinking about saving money, and that's how the conversation actually went.
Yeah. And you bring up a good point. This happens on both sides. I told them they needed the umbrella, and they declined it as the producer, right? And I'm remembering that way. Well, did it happen that way? If you didn't document it, it's one party versus the other. It's just an opinion. And I can tell you that if it goes to court and it's little business owner versus big bad insurance company or agency, I can tell you who's probably going to lose.
Yeah.
So you have to document. And documenting does three things. In fact, everything I do in my role when it comes to quality control stuff, I run through these three lenses. Literally everything. One, does it serve our clients? Does this improve our customer service? Two, is this efficient? And three, does this protect us on an E&O level? If I can balance those three things, it's green light in my mind, whatever we're considering doing. So documentation definitely makes customer service better. I mean, if your client calls you and you don't remember what you discussed last time, that's not showing very much care for them. But if you can whip up that account and say, oh yeah, we talked about this and this, how's this going? You're showing legitimate, honest care for that customer. That's customer service. Efficiency, you don't have to try to remember what happened or dig to find out. And E&O protection, I think, is the obvious part.
Well, now going along with what you're saying, back in the day, if you would have said to someone, can I record our conversation? They would have said, am I under arrest? What are you talking about? Right. But now if you say, oh, I have an AI company that transcribes it to summarize it, take notes. It's like the ease in which conversations are recorded now and the willingness for anybody to do it is so much different than what it was like in the past. Yeah. Back in the day, people have been horrified, and now it happens a lot. So, I think more and more about, just what you're saying, trying to deliver on those things. And, so what do you see as the future of trying to do learning and quality control as AI kind of gets involved? Have there been conversations about that, maybe at a national level? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, AI is the hot topic, right?
Sure.
So there's a lot of conversations about that, good and bad, and pros and cons. AI is, in my mind, just a tool. And like any tool, we can use it right or we can use it wrong. MIT's ran some studies and shown with MRI scans that people that use AI, I shouldn't say use AI, people that rely on AI, and they kind of check out their brain and rely on AI, that their brain activity actually decreases. And they become, the simple answer is they become less smart, okay? And that's because your mental capacity is like a muscle. The more you work it, the stronger it gets. The less you work it, the weaker it gets, okay? So AI can be used well to help us strengthen that muscle, or it can be used so that we don't have to put in any effort and we weaken ourselves. So just from an educational perspective, what are some ways I've been able to leverage AI to help people? I have an employee who is working towards a designation program right now. And she shared with me that she struggles with some learning things, struggles to remember things sometimes, or struggles to understand concepts that take a lot of time to explain. And so we built her an AI bot that she can go to and she can ask a question to, and it will deliver an answer in a way that is tailored to her difficulties.
Wow.
And it will provide her multiple real-life examples. And it will even provide her flashcard language should she choose to make a flashcard out of whatever concept she's asking about. So AI allows us to have that kind of functionality and that personal attention, and it's really, really good at it. Her response to me is that she's been using it. It's been incredibly helpful. And she sent me some stuff. She was trying to learn about underwriting. She sent me the response that the bot had given her. And she said, you were an underwriter for a lot of years. Is this accurate? And I looked through it. It was great. And so I don't think AI replaces our brains, but I think it can help us learn if we're smart about how we use it.
Yeah, that is like the double-edged sword of you want this to help, you want AI to help, but you don't want it to make you dumb. And I remember hating writing essays when I was in high school and junior high. I mean, just the worst. Yeah. Oh, I have 2 paragraphs, but I need an intro and a conclusion and 3 in the middle. I only have 2. It's just awful.
Right.
But you got it done. You had to work on it. Well, now if you have AI write it right away, that's not what you're looking to have. So I have a cousin who's very involved in school administration. Mm-hmm. They're actually looking to peel back the tech the kids have rather than give them more. Like the kids are just using ChatGPT all the time. And they're just distracted. They're literally playing video games in class. Mm-hmm. So you and I are at an age where having a computer in your school was like this giant box that had like Oregon Trail on it or whatever. Right. Having a Chromebook and being able to chat or whatever. But what's weird is that we get addicted to the tech. So my friend who's taking away the tech, their first big thing they did was say that kids can't have cell phones at school. Mm-hmm. The parents came unglued about it. Mm-hmm. And they're like, will my kids be safe? Well, kids have been safe forever without having a cell phone at school. In fact, it makes it even worse in an emergency because you can have disinformation spread or whatever. So, no, there's a double-edged sword. Zerin, I'm going to put my cards on the table. I actually think that AI is a bit overhyped right now. I think it's going to do a lot of good things, but hear me out. 5 years ago, people said autonomous cars are going to be everywhere. Blah, blah, blah. Toyota actually didn't put a lot of money into it. Mm-hmm. They just put all their money into hybrid. Right. Because everyone's trying to be autonomous. And they made all these, not autonomous cars, electric cars. They put all their money into electric cars and they all bombed and they didn't work. Sure. So, but what someone said that I thought was really wise, cars won't be fully electric, fully automated, fully all these things, but like 3% at a time, they're going to become that way over the course of like 25 years. Yeah. So I feel like AI is the same way. I don't think tomorrow that no one will have a job, but incrementally AI is going to change and grow as the tech gets better little by little. There's going to be a lot of failure along the way, though. Sure.
And I think you're right. I think that the key to using AI today, understand I am not the tech guy, right? I'm not our CIO, okay? That's Jordan. But I've done a fair amount of research on AI because I always like to know what's coming. And the key to using AI today is knowing the limitations, not expecting it to do your job for you. It can't, not very well, and using it as a tool, as a help. So when I have to compose a difficult email, for example, a lot of folks will go straight to Copilot or ChatGPT, and they'll just say, this is what I want to say. Tell me how to say it. Mm-hmm. I don't do that. I compose the email as if I don't have AI. And then I might, maybe, if I'm not confident in it, drop it into the AI and say, hey, can you see anything I'm missing here? Did I miss? And it helps me. Sometimes it can word a difficult concept a little better for me. Yeah. But that's still me. You get an email from Zerin. It's Zerin speaking. Yeah. Okay. As opposed to, this is what I want to say, tell me how to say it. That's not me if I just let it think for me. Yeah. But to your point about AI growing and kind of evolving, that's 100% true. Yeah. It's going to happen. The technology's getting better. AI is moving at a much faster pace than electric cars. There's some there's some physical barriers to creating the battery tech necessary for an electric car to be, as viable as maybe we wanted it to be 10 years ago. AI is not experiencing that to the same degree.
There's not the same boundaries in place.
Yeah, it's a little different. But the concept that you've brought up is 100% correct. I feel like we've gone down a rabbit hole here.
It's all right.
Sorry.
Hey, that's podcasts exist for rabbit holes.
Okay. But I'm not a pro in it. That's just
well, it touches everything we do. And
it does.
So then as you look at your current role right now, what are you excited about? Like what makes you get up in the morning and say, "Hey, this is what I'd like to do. Here's what I'm looking forward to doing." What brings a smile to your face when you have to go to work?
Oh man. The thing I love about what I do is helping people grow. I want people to grow to their greatest potential. So I love it when I get a new employee and they're just nervous about something and they're not sure where to go in this insurance world, and I'm able to kind of take them by the hand and walk them down the road a little bit, and a few months later they're calling me saying, "Zerin, thank you so much for taking the time to help me be successful in this role." I just love to see individuals succeed.
Yeah, that must be super rewarding.
It is.
Is every single person different that you work with, or is there certain tracks that you've developed that you feel like are now going to be part of the process going forward?
Yeah, both. Okay. So I have, at Hartwell, I've set up certain learning paths based on the role that we're talking about. So commercial lines account manager has a learning path where they learn all the key skills necessary to do that job. They learn the coverage knowledge necessary to that job. And then we pair them with a mentor who kind of handles those individual idiosyncrasies. And then I check in with both of them at least every other week, sometimes more frequently, just to make sure everything's going okay, troubleshoot any problems. Sometimes those check-ins are, yeah, everything's good. We discuss these things. Other times it's, I'm having trouble teaching this concept. Can you help me find another way to teach this? And so we have tracks because we need structure, but we also have a very individualized slant to that.
Okay. Well, what's it like as, I remember seeing that you had spoken at a conference, some kind of breakout session or something. Is there like a learning community in the insurance world?
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
The Society of Insurance Trainers and Educators.
No.
It's a thing.
Dude.
It's a thing.
Yes. Zerin, next thing you know, you're going to tell me there's a Society of Insurance Beekeepers. It's going to check all the boxes for you. But tell me about the trainers. Tell me about this training group.
Yeah, so these are heavy hitters. These are some of the best, Heather Blevins, Patrick Waite. These are some of the best trainers in the industry that are running this program. And they have a curriculum. They have some designation programs you can go through. They do a monthly webinar where we meet and we visit and we just talk about, it's structured, but we talk about what are challenges you face in education, how can we help our people learn better, what are best practices, these sorts of things. It's super, super useful. If you are in any kind of insurance education, you need to look up SITE.
So have you is there a formal way to be involved, or is it more what's your involvement level been like?
So right now I'm just a member.
Okay.
I'm not in leadership there at all. A few months ago I was privileged to be able to be on a panel in one of their webinars, and that was kind of fun. But I'm a vocal member. I tend to say what I think. And so I attend most of their webinars. This spring, I'll be attending their Train the Trainer program, just trying to build my knowledge. I have a personal goal I set a long time ago in my career that once a year I would take some kind of professional development course beyond CE. And with the exception of 3 years in my career, I've done that every single year in my career.
Any of those events that stick out as pivotal?
Any of the courses that I've taken? So probably the biggest one that helped me was the CPCU. I skipped over everything. I went straight. I had no designations and went straight for the CPCU. That's not usually a good plan.
That's swallowing the whale.
It was swallowing the whale. But that gave me a really good view of the industry as a whole, in depth, and so that has probably had the biggest impact.
And you said once a year you try to do your own development, like somewhere. Yes. Any of those development type seminars that you look back and say, hey, there was a time when I really felt like I gained confidence or expertise or experience by going to one of those?
Well, it wasn't a seminar. It was one of the CPCU courses, was the legal course.
Oh, so you're saying...
Loved the legal course.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I thought you meant like once a year you try to like fly to like a one-day event. But I mean, the CPCU is a lot more than one day.
No. I try to take a course, a full course once a year.
I'm sorry.
I do fly to several events.
I'm sorry.
Those are important.
I thought you were. I was misinterpreting the word course, but now it makes sense.
Okay.
Both are like professional development vehicles,
and both are incredibly valid and useful. I like to dive deep.
Okay.
So
like Zerin, you have been 20 plus years in the industry. And I love to ask guests this question. Like today you're going to be driving back home there's a lot of expanse from Boise to get back home.
Right.
What do you do in the car? Are you a music guy, podcast guy? Are you a book guy?
It depends on the mood.
Okay.
I like to listen to podcasts. Right now I'm getting into Brandon Sanderson novels. So I'll probably listen to one of his novels on the way home.
I'm not familiar with that author.
Kind of fantasy, stuff. He's a really great author.
Okay. No, it's Sheridan something or other that did Yellowstone. I was scrambling the names, So fantasy. Like, are you an Audible person?
I do not have an Audible subscription. I do like audiobooks. I have some other subscriptions, and of course, my library has something. I use a lot of library books.
Well, with your role at work, you are diving deep into the weeds. So you need to read about wizards and knights or whatever come up in fantasy just to like have your brain not blow up.
Yeah, you're actually right. I don't, when I'm not working, I do study off the clock quite a bit. And I actually have flashcards I go through every day about different insurance products. And so I do have that just to kind of keep myself sharp. On coverages and things, and I do that every day. But once I'm done with that, it's turned off.
Okay.
I draw pretty hard lines so that when I'm with my family, I'm not doing insurance.
Yeah.
And, when I'm driving home, I probably won't think at all about insurance.
Okay. Well, do you have a certain podcast or a certain book series? Or book that you would say, hey, any professional or just any person in general should check this out?
How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. Love that book.
Classic.
Read that probably 20 times.
What a good book. I mean, how simple are those concepts and how eternal they are. They're pretty amazing.
Right.
Yeah, I think I was telling a guy recently, it's like there's a book that I read a while ago, and I didn't have the audio version, and I'm glad I didn't because I just read it. Mm-hmm. But it's called The Road to Character by David Brooks.
Okay. I'm not familiar with it.
Yeah, David Brooks is kind of one of these like kind of academia kind of guys.
Okay.
And the whole idea is that there's all these people that are somewhat famous, like we would know them for big accomplishments, but the book doesn't talk about their accomplishments. It talks about the things that happen in their life to prepare them, and reading it's really powerful. So I recommend that one just as a general kind of personal improvement, but it's not a rah-rah book like If You Believe, You'll Achieve, or whatever some of these
Right.
corny books say, and you're like, give me a break. But
Yeah,
you
there's
need
a
that
lot of
occasionally.
fluff.
Yeah, a lot of fluff. Thank you. It's not a fluff book. I
Right.
mean, it's pretty intense. So, okay, so earlier I was asking you, Zerin, what are you doing with your free time? And you mentioned beekeeping. We've got to talk about this. So what's going on with beekeeping, Zerin?
I love my bees. I love all 120,000 of my girls.
So it's like in your backyard?
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't tell the city. I don't know if it's okay or not.
Zerin, you're going to get outed. No, I mean, I think, don't we have like a shortage of bees? Don't we like need bees right
we
now?
always need bees.
Okay.
And there's a debate, are they native? And no, most of the bees, honeybees in America are not native, but they still do a great job pollinating.
Yeah.
I only have 2 hives. Mostly, I also keep a garden, so
Okay.
they help my garden grow. I like the honey, and I just like to watch them. They're just fun.
It's pleasant.
It's relaxing.
Relaxing. One of the terms that I think through is like what's in our culture, we get to do a lot of things that are mentally very stimulating at work.
Yeah.
But what's something that can be like therapeutic when you get back home? So that's like the eternal hunt. I picked up reading somehow, but my wife is all about gardening and flowers.
Nice.
And we talked about getting a bee. What do you call those boxes? Those white boxes you put in your backyard?
Just like a mason bee hive, or
Is that what they are? It's just like a white box, like a cylinder, like a thing, and you put it in your backyard, and like there's bees that go in it.
oh yeah, okay. I think that's mason bees.
Okay.
I don't know much about them.
Okay.
Keep honeybees, but
Okay.
yeah, they don't sting, and they're great pollinators.
Okay.
You don't have to do anything to care for them; they just come and go.
So what does this look like? Like where the bees stay? I mean,
So with honeybees, I keep what's called a Langstroth hive. There are 2 or 3 different styles of hives you can keep, and it's a box about that wide, that tall maybe, and has 10 frames in it. And the frames are they're a place for the bees to build their comb, and so you let them live in there. You make sure they don't have any pests that are attacking them, so you protect them against mites and so forth that might cause them health issues. And then if they have enough honey at the end of the season to get themselves through the winter, then I'll harvest honey. But I never touch any honey until they have enough first.
So the bees eat the honey to stay alive?
That's how they stay alive in the winter.
No kidding.
Yeah, they stock it away in the summer and then eat it over the winter slowly.
Well, you must be in charge of learning and development if you're teaching me about bees on this podcast. I did not have this on my bingo card.
I could tell you so much about bees, but let's not. That's a whole nother discussion. I love them.
Right on. So, okay, as we get a little closer to landing the plane, what anything else that you're like, hey, you know what, I would love to give a shout out to this person or mention this topic that's important to me?
Yeah, sure. On the questions you sent over to prepare for this, you said I might ask questions about this. A couple of questions you asked, you said, what has made a difference in your career? What kind of moments were defining in your career? And I wanted to share those experiences.
Sure, please
And I wanted to give some shout outs too. So we'll do the shout outs first. So I want to shout out to my dad, Phil Buchanan, who got me into this industry. It's been an amazing journey, and it's just a wonderful, wonderful place to be. So, he was probably my greatest mentor. I've had other mentors over the years. You mentioned Tracy, Todd Mary. I have to shout out to Todd. I love Todd. When I got into the business, Todd says there's a right way and a wrong way to do insurance, and at the Hartwell Corporation, we do it the right way. And part of the reason I love this company is because my philosophy of how insurance should be sold very closely matches the Hartwell philosophy. So, and I love Todd for encouraging that as well. So shout out to, Tim Stronks used to be at Farm Bureau, played a big role, and Scott McPherson used to be our Travelers underwriter. Remember Scott?
Yeah, great guy.
Love Scott. Scott Scott was, when I was at Farm Bureau and I was serving as CPCU chapter president, he was a huge influence on me. So shout out to Scott. So, but experiences that changed my life. I was a new producer. I had inherited a few accounts, not enough to live on, just a small handful of accounts from another producer who had retired. And I was probably 3 months into the business. And at Farm Bureau, we sold everything: property, casualty, life, health. It was kind of a do a little of everything. One of these inherited clients walked into my office. He was broken. You could see that he was just broken down. Sat down in the chair, broke down in tears, and informed me that his wife had passed away a couple of weeks earlier, and that he needed money. He didn't have any money to pay medical bills or final expenses. Was not very well off. It was a personal lines client. And he said, Zerin, in all my time with this company, did we ever buy any life insurance? And I had to tell him no.
Oh, dang.
And it broke my heart to have to tell him that we had not provided the protection he needed. Now, I don't know. I'm not judging the agent, the producer. I'm not judging any of that because I don't know what those conversations were like. Maybe they had offered it 20 times and he had turned them down 20 times. But the fact that I had to tell him no in his time of greatest need, that I didn't have anything to help him, made a huge impact on me. A few months later, I had another client, again inherited, went out to change his water, tripped, hit his head on a rock, and died in his front yard.
Wow.
Yeah. I was able to hand deliver the life insurance check to his widow. So very, very early in my career, I experienced these two very opposite situations, and I saw firsthand how the product we sell really helps our clients. Or if we don't sell it and they don't buy it, or I'm not judging this other agent, how it can hurt them in their moment of deepest need. I've seen that in property insurance. I had a crime claim that I recently posted on LinkedIn about that was not paid because I had made a mistake. And then I had a few years later a situation with a total loss from a fire where our client was very well protected, and because we had done our job and they had accepted what we were offering to them, they had the protection so that this person's livelihood didn't disappear. So in the insurance world, we are dealing with real lives of real individuals who rely on us and count on us to help them find protection. And we need to take that calling seriously. So if I could give any one message to anybody out there who might hear this, it would be learn your craft well enough to really do it. And if you don't, you're doing a disservice to your friends sometimes, your clients who are sometimes your friends.
Literally a life-changing.
Literally
life-changing to give that advice, offer that proposal, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's powerful. Thank you for sharing that. So that is the contrast between best case, worst case scenario.
Yeah.
So no, I think we need that more than ever because increasingly the industry is driven by profit motive, and the days of having an agent that actually knew you and cared are seeming like they are fewer and fewer.
Yeah.
Hopefully the industry can do well, but I think you're right. I mean, I think you're spot on with giving that charge.
Thank you. Yeah, I feel passionately about it, and perhaps that's why education is such a thing for me, because I've seen the real world effects of not knowing what you don't know.
Right. Yeah, dang. I have seen that even in the last week right now. Some of the scenarios you brought up, I won't say too much, but
yeah,
Yeah, you just wish someone would have come along and explained it and kind of worked through things better with people.
Right.
Yeah. Well, Zerin, thank you for joining me. Thank you for being a great guest. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Look forward to the next time.
Yeah, it's been fun. Thanks, Brian.